I am Harper Langston, CEO of Hale Blake Biomedical, one of the leading biotech firms in the San Francisco Bay Area. But 6 years ago, I had a different name, Harper Lane Blake, the wife cast out of her home because her husband chose to believe a lie. Perhaps you've heard of me? The woman in the white suit who showed up at a lavish Napa Valley wedding, flanked by 2 children with the exact same blue eyes as the groom. The woman who turned a picture-perfect ceremony into the most talked-about scandal in California's high society last year. The press called it the revenge of the century. They were wrong. It wasn't revenge. It was resurrection. The steering wheel was slick under my palms as I drove the vintage truck up the winding roads to Chateau Margaux Vineyard. In the back seat, my twins, Lily and Mason, pressed their faces against the windows, watching the endless rows of grapevines blur past. They didn't know their father was getting married today. They didn't even know who their father was. "Mommy, are we going to a party?" Lily asked, smoothing down her yellow sundress, the one she'd picked out herself that morning. "Something like that, sweetheart." My white suit felt like armor. I'd bought it yesterday, paying cash at a boutique in San Francisco. The saleswoman had said I looked like a CEO heading to close $1 billion deal. If only she knew. The invitation had arrived at my office 3 weeks ago, forwarded by someone who clearly wanted me to see it. "Ethan Blake and Victoria Chen request the pleasure of your company." The heavy cardstock had trembled in my hands. 6 years. 6 years since he'd thrown me out of our penthouse, calling me a liar and a cheat while his assistant Melissa stood behind him with that satisfied smirk. The parking attendant's eyes widened when I pulled up. A woman in white at someone else's wedding. Already breaking rules, but I wasn't here to follow rules anymore. "Ma'am, are you with the Blake Chen wedding?" "I'm with the Blake family," I said, which wasn't a lie. Not really. The ceremony had already started. I could hear the string quartet playing Pachelbel's canon, see the sea of designer hats and tailored suits through the vineyard's glass doors. I took Mason's hand, then Lily's. "Remember what we practiced? Best behavior." They nodded solemnly, these 2 pieces of my heart who had their father's green eyes and my stubborn chin. The doors were heavy, but they opened silently. 300 guests sat in perfect rows, facing the flower-draped altar where Ethan stood in his charcoal gray tuxedo. He looked older. Good. The bride, Victoria Chen, daughter of State Senator Richard Chen, glowed in Vera Wang. We walked down the side aisle. Heads began to turn. Whispers rippled through the crowd like wind through wheat. I kept walking, my heels clicking against the stone floor, each step a countdown. The officiant was saying something about eternal love when I reached the front row. Ethan's mother gasped. She'd always liked me before. Then Ethan saw me. His face went white, then red, then white again. But it wasn't me he was staring at. It was the 2 children flanking me, their faces turned up toward his, curious and innocent. "Harper?" His voice cracked on my name. The music stopped. The officiant fumbled with his book. Victoria's perfect smile froze, then shattered. "Hello, Ethan," my voice carried across the silent vineyard. "I thought it was time you met your children. 6 years earlier, I'd thought I had everything. The kind of life they write about in magazines. A biotech executive husband, a career as a data scientist at his company, a penthouse overlooking the bay. I was Dr. Harper Lane Blake then, with patents pending and a corner office. The morning it ended started like any other. Ethan left early for a board meeting. I was reviewing clinical trial data when Melissa, his personal assistant, knocked on my office door. "Ethan needs to see you at home. Now." The urgency in her voice made me grab my laptop and leave immediately. When I arrived, Ethan was standing by our floor-to-ceiling windows, his back rigid. Spread across our dining table were printed emails, photographs, hotel receipts. "What is this?" I moved toward the table, confused. "Don't." His voice was ice. "Don't pretend you don't know." The emails were from my account to someone named Derek, full of promises I'd never written. The photos showed me entering a hotel I'd never been to, The receipts were for room service I'd never ordered. "Ethan, these aren't real. I don't even know who Derek is." "Stop lying!" He slammed his hand on the table. I'd never seen him like this. "Melissa found everything. She's been trying to protect me, but I had to know the truth." Melissa stood by the door, her face a mask of concern. Only I caught the glint of satisfaction in her eyes. "You need to leave. Now. Take your purse and get out." "Ethan, please, let me explain. Let me look at these." "Security is already on their way up. Don't make this harder." I stood there, shaking, as my world crumbled. "This is my home. We're married. You can't just—" "Watch me. My lawyers will handle the rest." Security arrived. 2 men I'd smiled at every morning for 3 years. They wouldn't meet my eyes as they escorted me out. I had my purse, my phone, and the clothes on my back. By that evening, my company keycard was deactivated, my joint accounts were frozen, my company email bounced back. Melissa had been thorough. Within hours, everyone in biotech circles in the Bay Area had heard that Harper Lane Blake was a cheater who'd betrayed the Golden Boy CEO. I spent that first night in my car in a Walmart parking lot, throwing up in the bushes behind the store. Not from shame or heartbreak, though those would come later, but from morning sickness. The pregnancy test I bought with my last $20 showed 2 pink lines. I sat on the bathroom floor of that Walmart, staring at those lines, and felt something inside me break. Then, slowly, something else began to form in its place. Not hope, exactly. Something harder. Something that would keep me alive. 2 weeks living in my car taught me things Stanford never did. Which parking lots were safe. How to wash your hair in a gas station sink. That pregnancy hunger was different from regular hunger. It clawed at you, made you dizzy. I was shoplifting crackers at a convenience store in Oakland when she found me. My hands were shaking so bad I dropped the box, and when I bent to pick it up, the world tilted. "Whoa there, honey." Strong hands caught my arms. "When's the last time you ate a real meal?" I looked up into the kindest brown eyes I'd ever seen. The woman was maybe 60, wearing scrubs with cartoon cats on them, her gray hair in neat braids. "I'm fine," I lied. "Uh-huh. And I'm Beyoncé." She kept her grip on my arm. "You're about to faint. Come on." She steered me out of the store, past the glaring clerk, to a beat-up Honda. "I'm Mabel. Used to be an ER nurse. Now I run a clinic. And you're coming with me." I should have protested, should have maintained some dignity. Instead, I burst into tears. Mabel's clinic was in a converted warehouse, filled with mismatched furniture and the smell of coffee. She sat me down and brought me soup. Real soup, hot and thick with vegetables. "How far along?" she asked, watching me devour the food. 8 weeks. "Where's the father?" "Getting married to someone else." The words came out bitter. "And where are you staying?" My silence was answer enough. "Listen, honey." Mabel leaned forward. "I've got a couch in the back office. It's not much, but it's warm and dry. You can stay there while you figure things out." "I can't." "Yes, you can. You're not the first woman to show up here with nowhere to go. Won't be the last." That night, lying on Mabel's lumpy couch with a real blanket for the first time in weeks, I felt my phone buzz. Another email from Ethan's lawyers. I deleted it without reading and made a decision. "The baby's mine," I whispered to the dark. "Just mine." Mabel became my anchor. She never asked for my whole story, just pieces I was ready to share. She taught me to knit, keeps your hands busy and your mind quiet, introduced me to the other volunteers at the clinic, and held my hair back during the worst of the morning sickness. "You got any family?" she asked one evening as we restocked supplies. "Not anymore." "Well, you do now." She squeezed my shoulder. "Sometimes the family you choose is better than the one you're born into." I started helping at the clinic, organizing files, updating their ancient computer system. It felt good to be useful again. When Mabel learned about my background in biotech data, her eyes lit up. We've been trying to digitize our patient records for years. Think you could help? It wasn't the cutting-edge research I'd been doing, but it was something. A purpose. A reason to get up each morning as my belly grew rounder. 4 months into my pregnancy, I discovered something that changed everything. While organizing old patient files, I found a folder marked Blake Therapeutics, Rejected Claims. My blood ran cold. Inside were insurance rejections for patients who'd been prescribed Neurozine, the drug I'd been developing when Ethan threw me out. But the formulation was wrong. The dosages were dangerous. Someone had altered my research. "Mabel," I called, my voice shaking. "You need to see this." She read through the files, her face growing darker. "Harper, 3 of these patients had severe reactions. 1 almost died." That night, I broke my silence and called Dr. Elena Morales, my former mentor. She answered on the first ring. "Harper? My God, where have you been? Everyone's been— Elena, I need your help. It's about Neurozine. They changed my formulation." We met at a diner in Berkeley. Elena looked the same, sharp blazer, silver hair, and a neat bun, but her eyes widened when she saw my obvious pregnancy. "Tell me everything," she said. So I did. The setup, the firing, the altered drug data. Elena listened, occasionally asking for clarification, her expression growing more furious with each detail. "Those bastards," she finally said. "Harper, we need to stop this." "I can't go public, not yet. I need to protect—" I touched my belly. "Then we do it another way." Elena's eyes gleamed. "What if we started our own company? I've got capital saved. You've got the knowledge. We could develop the real formulation, prove it works safely." "Who would trust anything with my name on it?" "Then we don't use your name. Not yet." She pulled out a napkin, started sketching. "Hale Biotech, after Mabel's clinic. We develop treatments for underserved communities. Do it right." The twins came early, on a rainy February morning. Lily first, screaming and fierce. Mason 5 minutes later, quiet and watchful. When the nurse placed them in my arms, I finally understood what it meant to have your heart exist outside your body. Mabel was there, Elena too. My chosen family, surrounding me with love as I named my children. I gave them my maiden name, Lane. Let them start clean. We launched Hale Biotech from Mabel's clinic. Our first office was a donated trailer in the parking lot. Elena handled the business side while I worked on reformulating my research. We focused on affordable treatments, drugs that actually helped the communities we served. The breakthrough came when I was nursing the twins at 3 a.m., running on 2 hours of sleep. The solution to the formulation problem just clicked. I scribbled notes one-handed while Mason latched on, Lily sleeping in her bassinet beside us. "That's it," I whispered to my babies. "That's how we fix it." Our first successful trial made local news. Our second got FDA fast-track approval. By the twins' second birthday, Hale Biotech had contracts with 3 major hospitals. I never Googled Ethan, never checked his company's stock prices. But late at night, after tucking in my children, I'd touch their faces and wonder if he ever thought about the wife he'd thrown away. By the time the twins turned 5, Hale Biotech occupied a real building in downtown Oakland. We had 40 employees, most hired from the community. Our immunotherapy treatment was saving lives and, more importantly to me, it was affordable. I'd legally changed my name to Harper Langston, using my grandmother's maiden name. Dr. Langston was respected in biotech circles now. Nobody connected her to the disgraced Harper Lane Blake. The call that changed everything came on a Tuesday. I was reviewing trial data when my assistant knocked. "Dr. Langston, there's a Mr. Chen here. Says it's urgent." I knew that name. Victoria Chen's father, the state senator. My hands stilled on the keyboard. "Send him in." Richard Chen looked older than his campaign photos, his face drawn with worry. He sat across from my desk, studying me with sharp eyes. "Dr. Langston? Or should I say Dr. Lane?" My spine straightened. "What do you want?" "Your help." He pulled out a file. "My daughter Victoria is sick. The treatments aren't working. Your immunotherapy, we think it might help. But there's a complication. Which is? She's refusing treatment. She's convinced she's being punished. He rubbed his face. She told me everything. About what she and that assistant did to you. About the forged emails, the fake photos. She says she deserves to die for destroying your life. The room spun slightly. I gripped the edge of my desk. She's sick because of guilt? The stress triggered an autoimmune condition. Ironic, isn't it? His smile was bitter. She needs your treatment, but more than that, she needs your forgiveness. No. Dr. Langston. No. I stood. Your daughter and Melissa Davies destroyed my life. They took everything from me. I won't give her absolution just to make her feel better. I'm not asking for her. I'm asking for you. He leaned forward. I've been investigating what happened. I have proof. Documents. Recordings. Melissa Davies kept everything. She's been blackmailing my daughter for years. He pushed a flash drive across my desk. This is everything. Do what you want with it, but please, help my daughter. Not for her sake, for yours. Don't let hatred poison your success. After he left, I sat staring at that flash drive for an hour. Then I called Elena. We're taking the Chen case, I said. Full treatment protocol. Pro bono. Harper, are you sure? No, but I'm doing it anyway. The treatment worked. Victoria Chen recovered, slowly but completely. She sent a letter, pages of apologies I couldn't bring myself to read entirely, but one line stuck. He never stopped looking for you. That's when I started planning. The invitation arriving was like the universe giving me permission. 6 years to the day after he'd thrown me out, Ethan was marrying Victoria Chen, the woman whose guilt had literally made her sick. The poetry of it was too perfect to ignore. I'd built my revenge slowly, carefully, not the destroying kind, the becoming kind, becoming something so much more than what they'd tried to erase. Standing in that vineyard, watching Ethan's face cycle through shock and recognition, I felt empty, not satisfied, not vindicated, just tired. Harper? Victoria's voice was thin, scared. She looked healthier than when I'd treated her, but fear made her fragile again. Hello, Victoria. You look well. The treatment suited you. The crowd was murmuring now, a low buzz of confusion and curiosity. I saw phones coming out, quickly tucked away when wedding coordinators glared. Daddy? Lily tugged on my hand. Why is everyone staring? That one word, Daddy, made Ethan stagger. He grabbed the altar for support. These are your children? His mother, Margaret Blake, had stood up, her face a map of shock and dawning hope. Lily and Mason Lane, I said clearly. They're 5. 5? Ethan's voice was hoarse. Harper, are they? I have the DNA tests, I said, pulling the court documents from my purse. Filed last week, along with a request for 6 years of back child support. But then federal agents walked in. The next part happened fast. Federal agents in Navy windbreakers, badges flashing. They arrested Victoria first, something about pharmaceutical fraud and money laundering. Then Melissa Davies, who'd been trying to slip out the side door. This wasn't supposed to happen, I whispered to Elena, who'd appeared at my elbow. Yes, it was, she whispered back. Richard Chen gave us the evidence, but he also gave it to the FBI. Turns out his daughter and Melissa were stealing from Blake Therapeutics, using the company to launder money through fake research grants. The wedding dissolved into chaos, guests fleeing, photographers snapping pictures, Ethan standing at the altar like a broken statue. Mommy, Mason said quietly, is that man our daddy? I knelt down, looking into my son's eyes, so like his father's it hurt. Yes, baby, he is. Why doesn't he live with us? Because sometimes grown-ups make mistakes, big ones. The fallout was swift and brutal. Blake Therapeutics' stock plummeted. The board called an emergency meeting. Within a week, Ethan was stepping down as CEO. He showed up at my office on a Thursday, looking like he hadn't slept in days. Security knows to let you in, I said, not looking up from my computer. But only this once. Harper, please, can we talk? We're talking. Can I see them again? The twins? No. Harper, do you know where I went, Ethan, after you threw me out? Now I looked at him. I lived in my car. I was pregnant and homeless because you believed lies without even asking me for the truth. He sank into the chair, head in his hands. I know what I did was unforgivable. Good. Then we understand each other. But Lily had inherited my stubborn streak and his charm. She'd drawn a picture at preschool, a family with a mommy, 2 kids, and a blank space labeled Daddy. She's asking questions, I told Dr. Julian Kim, the child psychologist who'd been helping us navigate this mess. He was also, increasingly, the person I called when I needed to talk. Kids need truth, Julian said. Age-appropriate truth, but truth nonetheless. So I arranged a meeting. Neutral ground, a park in Marin. Julian came for support, sitting on a bench nearby, while Ethan met his children properly for the first time. I'm your father, Ethan said, kneeling to their height. I've been away, but I'd like to know you now, if that's okay. Lily studied him with serious eyes. Did you do something bad? Is that why you were away? Yes, Ethan said simply. I made a terrible mistake. I hurt your mommy. Did you say sorry? I did, but sometimes sorry isn't enough to fix things. Mommy says when we make mistakes, we have to make amends. Lily pronounced the word carefully. Your mommy is very smart. Ethan's voice cracked. I'm trying to make amends. We started with supervised visits. 1 hour every Saturday. Julian helped establish boundaries. Ethan could be their father, but he had to earn their trust. Meanwhile, Blake Therapeutics was hemorrhaging value. The FBI investigation had revealed years of Melissa's embezzlement, Victoria's money laundering, and a rot that went deep into the company's leadership. We could buy it, Elena said one evening, sliding a proposal across my desk. Merge with Blake Therapeutics, save the good research, fire the corrupt executives, poetic justice. That's insane. That's business. The merger took 6 months to negotiate. Ethan, stripped of his CEO position but still a major shareholder, advocated for it with the board. He knew it was the only way to save the company his father had built. The day I walked into Blake Therapeutics as co-CEO of the newly merged Hale Blake Biomedical, I wore the same white suit I'd worn to crash his wedding. This time, it really was armor. The executive team is assembled in the main conference room. My new assistant, not Melissa, who was serving 3 to 5 years, informed me. I stood at the head of the table where Ethan used to preside, looking at the faces of people who'd once whispered about me in break rooms. Let's be clear, I began. I'm not here for revenge. I'm here for revolution. We're going to make treatments that work, that people can afford, that actually help. Anyone who can't get behind that mission can clean out their desk today. 3 people resigned that afternoon. Good. The twins' 8th birthday party was at Golden Gate Park. A small gathering. Mabel, Elena, some school friends, Julian, who Lily had started calling Dr. J with obvious affection, and Ethan. Watching him help Mason with his bike, I felt something I hadn't expected. Peace. Not forgiveness, exactly. Not love. But the ability to see him as just a flawed human who'd made a terrible choice. You did good, honey, Mabel said, appearing at my elbow with cake. Not many people could build what you built from nothing. I didn't build it from nothing, I corrected. I built it from rage and terror and the absolute certainty that my kids deserved better. Same thing in my book. The birthday song started. Lily and Mason stood before their cake, 2 separate ones because they could never agree on flavors, faces glowing in the candlelight. Make a wish, Julian encouraged, his hand finding mine. I wish Daddy could live with us, Lily announced, then blew out her candles. The adults froze. Ethan's face was a study in pain and hope. Wishes don't work if you say them out loud, silly, Mason told his sister. Then quieter. I wished for Mommy to be happy. Oh, sweetheart. I pulled him close. Mommy is happy. I have you two. I have our family, all of it. I looked around at the people who'd saved me, raised me up, given me purpose. That's more than enough. Later, as the party wound down, Ethan approached. Thank you for letting me be here. You're their father. That won't change. Harper, He stopped, started again. I know I can't undo what I did, but I see you now, really see you. The company you built, the mother you are, the person you've become. It's extraordinary. I was extraordinary before, Ethan. You just couldn't see it. He nodded, accepting the blow. You're right. I'm sorry I couldn't see it then. I'm glad the kids have you. I'm glad you have... He glanced at Julian, who was teaching the twins a card trick. You deserve to be happy. I know, I said simply. I always did. As the sun set over the bay, I watched my children play. Safe, loved, whole. They had my strength, and their father's eyes, Mabel's wisdom and Elena's encouragement, Julian's gentleness and their own bright spirits. This wasn't the life I'd planned at 25, standing in that penthouse believing I had everything. This was the life I'd clawed out of disaster, built from ashes and determination and the absolute refusal to let betrayal be my ending. Mommy, Lily called. Come push me on the swing. I went, leaving the past standing by the picnic table, choosing instead the messy, complicated, beautiful future we'd made from all our broken pieces. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destruction. Sometimes it's becoming so wholly yourself that the person who tried to erase you becomes just a footnote in your larger story. Sometimes it's building something beautiful from the ashes they left behind and saying, look what grew here, in the space where you planted pain. Sometimes revenge is just another word for resurrection.